What's up and welcome back. I'm John Starkback, MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Whitebird, a Wonder Story. I don't know what happened to this movie. It was released theatrically in October. Wonder did fine at the box office. It was considered a hit. It was based on a novel. It was a little film, Julia Roberts. Oh, listen, you probably saw it. You're remembering it right now in real time, probably. And the kid had the physical condition, and kids sort of made fun of him. He wore the little helmet because he didn't want to be made fun of. But then he learns to and he changes people's lives. It's very inspirational, and it was a nice movie. It was like in 2018 ish. Um, and this is a sequel to that. It's based also on a book, on a graphic novel within the same universe. It's weird that Wonder has a universe, by the way. Um, and this film has basically nothing to do. You don't need to have seen Wonder. This film does have audio description. It was very nice. Uh, the cast, I don't know. It only has one character that's really returning, and that's Julian, who bullied the kid in the first movie, and he got expelled from school, and now he's at prep academy, and he's being bullied. So he thinks his life is just awful. And then his grandmother, Helen Mirren, comes in here and says, "You think you have it bad? Let me tell you a story." And by the way, I was a Jewish girl in World War II. You know where this is going. So that's what Whitebird is Helen Mirren recounting her survival story of surviving the Holocaust. Um, and it's very Anne Frank, and she's sort of hidden away, and some people take her in and hide her. But it's sort of like like obviously she survives because she turns into Helen Mirren. So that aspect is sort of taken away of the, oh my God, is she going to make it? Um, but along the way, I mean, there are all these other people that you meet, and it does get kind of dark, and it is, um, I mean, it's still Holocaust drama. Terrible shit's still happening all over the place. But it is this story about this girl who, she goes to school, I think honestly at like a Christian or Catholic school, because it kept referring to this one of her teachers like a pastor. Like the principal is also like a pastor. So, which I found to be incredibly interesting that a Jewish girl was going to like, but also there were other Jewish kids there too. And I was like, I want to know more about this. Anyway, um, so she's going there and she's sort of popular, and there's this other kid there that's not, and he's got like a name that people call him, but nobody actually knows what his real name is, so they just keep calling him this thing. It's like German. I don't know what the nickname was. I can't remember. But he has a lame leg due to polio. He had polio, and one of his legs doesn't work, so he walks with a crutch. Um, and very smart, very intelligent kid, very nice kid. And basically, the Nazis come one day, and the teachers kind of try to help the kids escape. Um, and the Nazis round all of them up except this one girl, who manages to evade them, but she now has no place to go. And very likely, since her name was on a list, that they also have her parents, so she can't go home. So this kid hides her, and his family is accepting of her. His mom is played by Gillian Anderson, and they hide her in the barn. And they have very nosy Nazi neighbors, so she has to stay in the barn. And they go and bring her food, and he goes in there and talks to her so she's not alone. And all the adventures that she has are in this barn, basically, or at least to the point at which I don't want to have spoilers. So, and even and this kid has a name, but it's a spoiler, so I'm not going to say what it is. Um, but it's funny how that turned into a story, and I like the audio description. There was just one moment, and it was interesting because they had already used it before to describe some of the girls. Instead of like saying it's like a white girl or a black girl or something like that, they used the term pale. And I was like, okay, well, that makes me think of like somebody who looks like a ghost, who needs to get out in the sun, but whatever. If that's how you want, if that's, I don't know. I never, the thing is, it's a historically accurate Germany in World War II, and there were not a whole lot of black and Latino people there. So when I normally look for audio description in certain cases, I wasn't really looking for that description there. So I was taking pale to mean like ghostly, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing, because I don't think there's a lot of diversity in this school at this time period. I didn't think they Hamiltoned the Holocaust. So I think this is just being presented as it likely was. Um, and Later on, they use the same pale to refer to the bird. There's a bird, and I'm like, okay, so what does a pale bird look like? Is it like gray? A kind of pale to me is not really a color. It just, when you say it in like human terms, you think of somebody who looks like they're unhealthy or they need sunlight, right? Or they're like their skin is lighter than other people. You look pale is not something that ever sounds like a compliment. um, but it has also been used as a substitute for white when referring to people. You know, you watch films about the Old West and they'll talk about pale skin, the pale skins, compared to, because when we stand against indigenous people, yeah, we are pale. So I was thinking about what does a pale bird look like? And I was like, you know what? This movie's called White Bird. I feel like we missed an opportunity here. So I know I overthought that one moment, and there was like a really long way to get to that moment. But I was like, there's a moment where she sits there and she's looking at a bird because she's in this barn, has a whole bunch of like holes in the roof. And at one point, you know, she has nothing to do. There's no TV, you know, she has no entertainment. There's just a bird that lands in a hole and she's watching it. And it's this moment that we sit in for a little bit, not for too long, but the pale bird. And I was like, why is it not a white bird? The, the name of the movie is White Bird. Lean into it. So I'm assuming it's not a white bird. And in case, if it's not a white bird, then don't use the word pale, because pale is most usually associated with white. So now I'm like, what is it like gray? Because I would have preferred light gray to pale if it's grayish, you know, a grayish bird. Like, what if it's white? Just call it. The name is White Bird. That's the name of the movie. So if you're trying to avoid the word white for some reason, that's not the place to avoid it. Anyway, um, yeah, this movie made $5 million in the domestic box office. I don't think you know this movie exists. It's actually pretty good. Um, it's not great, but it's pretty good. The problem is that, yes, there are Holocaust dramas all over the place, and but yeah, they're all, at least for the most part, most of them are, most if not all of them are somewhat emotionally engaging, and this was, of course, on that level. So I liked White Bird. I don't know. I think Lionsgate just ran out of money after Borderlands and The Crow, and they couldn't do anything with White Bird. They just kept. They're like, sorry, we can't market you. We're poor. Um, so yeah, it just flopped. But check it out if it streams somewhere or whatever, and VOD. But I like White Bird. I'm gonna give it a B plus. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.